You look away for 2 seconds and suddenly the remote is in the baby's mouth. Then the corner of a book, then your sleeve, then a toy they ignored with their hands. But the second it reaches their lips, they study it like it contains the secret structure of the universe. Most adults react the same way. We laugh, we panic, we pull it out and say, "Why do babies put everything in their mouth?" And usually the answer comes back fast and simple. Teething, hunger, just a baby thing. That answer isn't wrong. It's just much smaller than the truth. Because what looks messy, irrational, and slightly alarming is often one of the most intelligent things a baby does. In the earliest chapter of life, a baby is not just using the mouth to eat. They are using it to investigate, to regulate, to connect, and in a very real sense, to think. So when your baby keeps shoving everything into their mouth, you are not watching random behavior. You are watching the developing human mind do field research. Now, the surface explanation makes sense. Teething does make babies want pressure on their gums. Hunger can make oral behaviors stronger. Sucking is soothing. All of that is true, but it still doesn't explain the full picture. Because babies do this before teeth come in. They do it when they're not hungry. They do it with toys, fabric, fingers, plastic rings, wooden blocks, and things no adult would ever classify as remotely mouthworthy. If this were only about teething, the behavior would be narrower. But it isn't narrow. It's broad, persistent, curious, and oddly selective in ways we don't always notice. A baby may briefly touch an object with their hand, then bring it straight to the mouth, as if the hands were only the introduction and the mouth was the real interview. That's the first big reframe. Adults tend to think of the mouth as a place for consuming. Babies use it as a place for discovering. And the reason starts with something beautiful and easy to miss. The baby's sensory world is not organized like ours. At birth, vision is still developing. Hand control is crude. Fine motor precision is limited. The world is full of things, but the tools for understanding those things are still under construction. The mouth, on the other hand, is one of the most sensitive and information-rich parts of the body. The lips, tongue, and inside of the mouth are packed with sensory receptors. And if you've ever seen the famous sensory maps from neurosurgeon Wilder Penfield, you know that the lips and mouth take up a huge amount of space in the brain's representation of the body. In simple terms, the baby's mouth gives the brain very detailed information. Texture, temperature, firmness, shape, resistance, edge, weight shifting against gravity, whether something yields or pushes back. To us, a silicone spoon is just a spoon. To a baby, it's a whole bundle of properties waiting to be decoded. Is it soft or rigid, cool or warm, smooth or ridged, predictable or surprising? This matters because early development is not just about learning names for things. It's about building categories out of raw sensation. Before a baby can think, this is a toy. The brain has to sort experience into patterns. This feels like that. This is different from that. This kind of pressure is comforting. This kind of texture is strange. This thing bends. This thing does not. Jean Piaget called the first major phase of learning the sensorimotor stage. That sounds technical, but the idea is simple and profound. Babies learn by acting on the world. They don't sit back and think first. The action is the thinking. They shake, drop, stare, squeeze, mouth, bang, repeat. What looks repetitive to us is often the brain running comparisons. And that means mouthing is not a weird side habit attached to development. It is part of development. In fact, one of the most fascinating findings in infant research suggests the mouth is doing even more than most people realize. In a classic study by psychologists Andrew Meltzoff and Richard Borton, very young babies were given a pacifier with a specific shape to explore with their mouth, without seeing it. Later, when shown shapes visually, they could distinguish the one they had only experienced orally. Think about how astonishing that is. A baby could build a mental representation through the mouth and connect it to what the eyes saw. So, the mouth is not some backup system the baby uses because they don't know better. It is one of the original pathways through which the brain starts linking sensation, memory, and recognition. The baby is not merely tasting the world. The baby is mapping it. And suddenly, that ordinary scene on the floor looks very different. The drool-covered toy is not evidence of chaos. It is evidence of integration. The brain is taking information from one sense and helping another sense make meaning of it. That's a much deeper story than they put everything in their mouth. It means early oral exploration is helping build the architecture of perception itself. But the story gets even more human when you realize this behavior is not only about cognition, it is also about emotional regulation. This is the part many parents feel intuitively, even before they can explain it. A baby doesn't just mouth objects when they're curious. They often do it when they're tired, overstimulated, frustrated, or trying to settle. That's not an accident. From the very beginning, the mouth is tied to relief. Hunger rises, a caregiver appears, feeding begins, the body softens. Distress falls, warmth, contact, smell, voice, fullness, and comfort arrive together. Early in life, these experiences are not neatly separated into categories the way adults separate them. Nutrition, soothing, closeness, and regulation are deeply intertwined. This is where attachment theory helps us see something powerful. John Bowlby's work emphasized that babies are not just seeking food, they are seeking safety through relationship. And in the earliest months, the mouth is one of the main places where that safety is felt. So when a baby sucks on their fingers before sleep, or urgently chews a toy in a loud room, or calms after rhythmic sucking, it is not always because they are trying to learn about the object. Sometimes they are trying to organize themselves. Their nervous system is still immature. They cannot regulate the way older children or adults can. They borrow regulation from caregivers, from routines, from touch, and sometimes from repetitive oral sensation. That pressure, rhythm, and familiarity can help bring the system back down. Not perfectly, not every time, but often enough that the behavior becomes deeply meaningful. In other words, sometimes the baby is asking, "What is this?" And sometimes the baby is asking, "Can this help me feel okay?" Those are very different questions on the surface, but in infancy, they are often tangled together. That's why a single behavior can be both cognitive and emotional at the same time. Your baby can be exploring the world and soothing themselves in the same moment. And if you've ever had the experience of offering a toy and watching your baby ignore its play features completely, it's only to turn it around and investigate it with the mouth, that does not mean the baby is missing the point. It means the baby is finding the point that matters most to their stage of development. There's another layer here that makes this even more moving. Sometimes the object going into the baby's mouth isn't really an object. It's you, your knuckle, your shoulder, your shirt collar, your chin. And that can feel confusing, even a little ridiculous. Why are you trying to chew on me? But from the baby's perspective, people are part of the sensory world too. In fact, they are the most important part. A baby is not born with a clean separation between object exploration and relationship exploration. Those systems overlap. So when a baby mouths your finger, yes, they may be exploring texture and pressure, but they are also engaging with a source of familiarity and safety. Your body is not just there to be identified, it is there to be used as a reference point. This is known, this is close, this responds. That matters, because secure development is not built only on being comforted, it is built on being able to explore while held in a field of safety. And one of the quiet miracles of infancy is that these two things happen together all the time. The baby reaches outward into the world while still depending on the relationship. That is not weakness. That is how healthy development begins. So here is the emotional reframe that changes everything. When your baby puts everything in their mouth, you are not watching a bad habit, a pointless quirk, or some primitive glitch they need to outgrow as fast as possible. You are watching intelligence in its earliest form. You are watching perception before language. You are watching the nervous system search for balance. You are watching curiosity and comfort use the same doorway. And once you see that, a lot of the guilt and confusion around this behavior begins to soften. Because many caregivers secretly wonder, am I missing something? Is this normal? Why does my baby seem obsessed with this? Usually the answer is not that something is wrong. Usually the answer is that something very important is happening. Now with that said, this is also where the stakes become practical. Because if the mouth is one of the baby's main tools for exploration, then safety is not optional. It is essential. Babies are supposed to explore this way. That is exactly why adults have to think ahead about what is within reach. Coins, button batteries, magnets, medication, cleaning products, tiny toy parts, peeling materials, sharp fragments, anything toxic or easily swallowed. These matter precisely because oral exploration is normal. You cannot shame a baby out of a brain-driven developmental strategy. You can only guide it by shaping the environment. And there are a few moments when the pattern itself may be worth paying closer attention to. Most babies increase oral exploration as hand-to-mouth coordination improves, especially in the second half of the first year. Over time, their learning becomes more distributed. They still mouth things, but they also inspect more with hands, vision, movement. And eventually symbolic play. So if a child rarely explores objects this way when they are otherwise in that developmental window, or seems intensely distressed by ordinary textures, or persistently eats non-food substances well beyond the typical stage, that can be a useful conversation to have with a pediatrician or feeding specialist. Not because mouthing is a red flag in itself, but because changes in how a child explores can sometimes tell us something important. The key is not panic. The key is noticing patterns. And that brings us back to the deeper truth beneath all of this. Long before a baby can ask a question with words, they are asking questions with their body. What is this? What does it feel like? Is it safe? Can I handle it? Can I calm myself? Will someone help me if I can't? What's so extraordinary is that one tiny, familiar behavior can hold all of that. The remote in the mouth, the blanket tag, the rubber giraffe, your shoulder at the end of a long day. These are not meaningless moments. They are small scenes in a much bigger story, the making of a mind, the organizing of a nervous system, the beginning of trust in the world. So the next time you see your baby bring something to their mouth with that total seriousness babies have, try not to see only the drool. Try to see the invisible work, a brain building categories, a body searching for regulation, a child learning, in the oldest way possible, how the world feels. And maybe most moving of all, remember this. Before babies can say, "What is this?" and before they can say, "Am I okay?" they often use the same behavior to ask both. If you've ever had one of those moments where your baby did something ordinary and it suddenly felt much deeper once you understood it, tell me in the comments. And if you want more psychology-rich parenting insights that go beneath the surface of everyday baby behavior, subscribe. There is a lot more hidden meaning in these little moments than most people ever get told.